People in their 40s and 50s with no children, how does it feel? I'm very glad to have been a part of the lives of my brother's kids, but I would have been a terrible parent myself, so it's all good. I'm only 29, but this is where my head is at. I'm so excited to be an aunt, but I have no desire for children of my own. I definitely think it was the right choice for me. Gotta be honest with myself, I am a little lazy and selfish, and while I think I might have been a decent dad, I don't think I would have been a happy one. This really puts things into perspective for me. People always say they think I'd be a great dad. I think I could have been a good dad. But my happiness definitely would have taken a back seat. Maybe as a dad I would have been okay with that. But maybe not. And I'd hate to blame my lack of happiness on my children who would have had no choice in the matter. I never understood the argument that if you do not want to have kids, you're a selfish person. You're selfish to who, exactly? A potential human that doesn't exist? I'd argue it's selfish to have kids because you're doing it for your own desires. On the one hand, I seriously envy my friends who have two lovely sons who are now in high school. On the other hand, I'm glad that I'm not my sister and brother-in-law who have two spawns of Satan who are 4 and 6. My sister is a mess and my parents had to step in and basically raise her 2 kids. My friends are at the stage where their children are becoming adults and some of them are royally fucking up their lives. Watching my parents deal with my sister and my friends deal with their kids, I'm so glad I didn't reproduce. I don't have one regret. People always assume their kids will be great. In reality it's a crapshoot and you could end up with kids that make your life hell. Honestly, sort of sad, but not overwhelming. I was always ambivalent about having kids. I would have been up for it if my partner wanted them, but he didn't, and I was totally fine not having them. I still don't feel strongly about it. But that partner and I broke up a few years back, and now that I'm in my early 40s it's just very weird to realize that. Well, that window is probably closed. I mean, as far as I know I could still get pregnant, but my current partner and I aren't in a place to be looking at that, and since we'd really have to try now, I'm accepting that it's just not going to happen. So yeah, there's some kind of grief. But it's a weird sort of grief because I never actively wanted kids and was always perfectly comfortable with the idea of not having them. It's more grief over losing the potential of having them in the future, I guess. I'm 39 and I feel the same way. Right now, with my current life, I don't want kids. But I've basically run out of time to meet a partner and find myself in a lifestyle where parenthood makes sense, and there's some grief in losing the choice. ETA, do men genuinely not know that women's fertility window starts closing after 35? I never once had the tingling feeling of wanting to become a parent. I simply don't have that want or desire responsibility to raise a child, especially in this timeline we're living in. Then I met my wife, who thinks the exact same way. We both love traveling, backpacking, camping, etc. It's freeing knowing we can get up in a split second and go. It's weird BC all your child having friends, which is most everyone, are completely consumed by their kids so you don't relate as well with others. But also it's great BC I have extra money and I can spend it on whatever the F*** I please. Oh, and I have extra time to do whatever I please. But sometimes I want to do something with my best friend, but she can't BC of her kids, so there's positives and negatives. I can't even take care of myself, let alone have to take care of another living person. So I just do what I want with my life and have a great time doing it. It's pretty awesome. The freedom. The sweet, sweet freedom to do what I want, or not do, when I want. Pretty great. My wife turned out to be a narcissistic abuser, so I divorced her. 1. No kids that would have suffered from her behavior. 2. No kids that would have suffered through the divorce. I'm more than happy to be the silly, fun uncle to my brother's kids. For a while, I was a fence sitter. It wasn't until 30 that I realized it was even a choice and not an inevitability. In US culture, marriage and children are a common life script. It took time for me to acknowledge that that script isn't a good fit for me, and it didn't solidify until my late 30s. For a while it was money and security, as well as environmental concerns and overpopulation. But it was also simply a lack of real desire to be a parent. I've often wished we could live multiple lives so that we can try all the things, but in this life I don't really want children. That was hard for me to grapple with in some ways because I was blessed with great parents and my mother was a fantastically caring role model. But my biggest reason for thinking about parenthood was fear of regret. That's not enough. Parents should really want their children. This is a whole other human being you're bringing into this world. They deserve to be wanted and loved and properly cared for. You're responsible for them, and it might not turn out roses. Parental anxiety doesn't magically dissipate after 18 years, either. For the rest of your life, you are a parent. There are also a lot of physical things that can go wrong with pregnancy, especially the pregnant person, which are not talked about enough. Our society holds a very rose-colored glasses view of pregnancy as glowing and natural. It really messes with people's bodies, not to mention postpartum mental health. A lot of folks will argue that not having children is selfish. This is puzzling, because those same folks will say in the next breath that having children ensures you won't die lonely. If you need to be a parent because that feels like your destiny and you are full of love, that's one thing, but if you're having children to safeguard your own future, now that is selfish. Not to mention the resources impact on the planet, etc., etc. If you are unhappy, parenthood won't fix it. If you are lonely, parenthood won't fix it. If you're following a life script in a daze, trying to check all the right boxes, take a moment to examine your reasons. If you want to be a parent, that's great. Best of love and luck. It's possible to live a comfortable life full of love, while doing what you want, while taking time to give back to your community, while staying open and curious and generally living a good life, without adding parenthood into the mix. Kinda depressing. I want to be a dad, but I rather let my broken brain diseases die off with me. Awesome. One of the best decisions of my entire life.